Almaty is officially becoming the main aviation hub in Central Asia, enough with a zillion connecting flights, guys. Now, the flight map from the southern capital looks like a real-world atlas. The most anticipated route is a direct flight to Tokyo via Air Astana, 7 hours in your seat and you're in the heart of Akihabara. Analysts have already calculated that this route will bring up to 7,000 Japanese tourists to Kazakhstan in the first year, but for Kazakhs it's a chance to see cherry blossoms without a transit chaos. Europe is getting closer to a lot. Polish Airlines has launched direct flights from Almaty to Warsaw, which will go 4 times a week on brand new Boeings. This in just Poland, it's a strategic gateway to the EU. Connections to Paris, Berlin or London will now become shorter and cheaper. On the 4th of June, Air Astana is launching direct flights to Larnaca. It's gonna take 5 hours on Thursday or Sunday to see Cyprus. One-way ticket starts at about 300 euros. Given global fuel price hikes, it's pretty reasonable for a non-stop flight to the Mediterranean. But the breakthrough of this year is the direct flight to Shenzhen. Connecting Almaty with China's Silicon Valley is a strategic move, considering that trade between Kazakhstan and China is now approaching $50 billion. So this is a direct channel for everyone involved in tech and manufacturing. While Western airlines are panicking over fuel costs and canceling every 7th transatlantic flight, Almaty is quietly taking over the role of a key bridge between East and West. Basically, the main challenge now is not about finding a ticket but choosing between Japanese gadgets, European vibes, and Chinese innovation. Vietnam is currently building the project of the decade, which will forever change travel in Southeast Asia. I'm talking about the mega airport Long Thanh, which is planning to become the main rival to Singapore and Bangkok. If you've ever flown into Ho Chi Minh City, you don't want to hear about those endless queues at the Old Tan Son Yat, which has been operating at its limit for a long time. Long Thanh will solve this problem radically. The first phase is already over 70% complete and the main 4-kilometer runway is ready since last year. The Vietnamese government has set a strict deadline. They have to finish all major construction work by September for commercial flights to start in the 4th quarter. To speed up the airline transition, the Minister of Transport has proposed a 50% discount on takeoff and landing fees for all international flights for the first 2 years of operation. Getting tickets via the new hub has become significantly cheaper. The old airport in the city center isn't going anywhere, but it will mainly handle domestic flights. All international traffic will be taken over by the new giant with its biometric gates and smart security. The coolest part is that toll highways, which they're rushing to finish right now, won't be the only way to get from Long Thanh to Ho Chi Minh City. High-speed trains would get you to the city center in just 30 minutes. Lufthansa has performed 2 ghost flights to celebrate its centennial. On April the 6th, a Boeing and an Airbus took off from Berlin simultaneously, an exclusive anniversary livery featuring a giant white crane. The thing is, Lufthansa doesn't usually fly from Berlin to Zurich or Cologne on such massive wide-body aircraft. This is why these flights are called ghost flights. The airline did all this in order to perfectly recreate the first day of its historic predecessor a century ago. In April 1926, it all started the same way. 2 small planes flew out of Berlin to the same cities. There was a young couple on one flight and just a single passenger on the second. A lot has changed since. On board the anniversary planes were 400 people, company employees and journalists. To pull off this stunt, the planes had to be specifically flown to Berlin from the main hubs in Frankfurt and Munich. The EU has officially launched the EES system and is finally saying goodbye to paper stamps and passports. Now at the border, you'll get a full digital dossier. The system will scan faces and take fingerprints from every non-EU citizen. In real time, it will record all your entries, exits, and overstays. The computer will detect an overstay in a split second, and it might sound like a technological breakthrough, but for the first weeks of the system could be a logistical nightmare. Registering biometrics on first entry takes much longer than a simple document check, so passport control queues at Paris, Rome or Berlin could get much longer. Plus, the launch is happening at the worst possible time, when the aviation market is reeling from cancellations and a fuel crisis. Remember, if you're flying to Europe, budget at least an extra hour for border control. And of course, keep in mind your phone is your main passport now. Tickets to Europe have gotten more expensive this summer, and it's not just inflation, it's because plane tanks are being filled with green fuel. New strict EU directives came into effect this year. They require airlines to mix regular kerosene with eco-friendly soft fuel. That sounds noble, but this fuel costs 3 to 4 times more than regular. Lufthansa, Air France and KLM has introduced an environmental surcharge that's automatically added to every ticket. The cost ranges from 1 to 72 euros on top, depending on flight distance. The tricky part is that this surcharge isn't fixed. Currently, the mandatory share of SAF is only 2%, but due to its exorbitant cost, the airlines are forecasting an extra 5 billion euros in expenses across the industry. Expenses they simply can't cover themselves. You can't refuse to pay this surcharge. It's not a voluntary contribution to Plant A3, it's a mandatory part of the fare. And if you're flying out of a major European hub, the surcharge applies automatically. So don't be surprised to see a new strange line on your receipt. Now we're all paying extra to make the future of aviation a little greener. Russian passports are officially turning into pieces of plastic. ICAO launched a global system upgrade that's replacing physical documents with digital tokens. This is the Digital Travel Credential. This is a digital travel credential which allows you to go all the way from hotel check-in to the airport gate without ever taking your documents out. The system recognizes you by biometrics that you have verified through your phone. The point is that the upgraded platform checks not only passports but also e-visas and even medical certificates in real time. Major hubs like Singapore and Heathrow have already started implementing these protocols. They promise to cut security processing time by 3 times. Given the fuel crisis and flight cancellations, airlines desperately need to reduce ground costs. The fewer people stuck in queues and the more processes are automated, the cheaper it is to serve each passenger. In September 2026, private airlines will be connected to the system, and then digital passports will become the standard for all international flights. So if your phone supports NFC and biometrics, you're ready for the fastest border crossing ever.